News now at this hour begins in the west of the continent, where the Nigerian Immigration Service has arrested 155 foreigners for cybercrimes and unauthorized entry into the country in a series of coordinated operations across 3 states. Now, the arrests carried out in collaboration with other security agencies led to the deportation of the suspects following orders from the Comptroller General, Femi Babafemi. In January 2025, 90 cybercrime suspects were apprehended in Rivers State, including 85 Cameroonians, 5 Chadians, and 4 Nigerians. Now, February saw the arrest of 25 illegal migrants in Ogun State and 40 in Oyo State. The suspects aged 18 to 35 included nationals from Cameroon, Ghana, Benin, and Togo. In 2024, the federal government deported 828 illegal immigrants as part of ongoing security measures. Let's also tell you that former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele has denied ownership of funds and properties forfeited to the federal government. A federal high court in Lagos, presided over by Justice Yelim Bogoro, granted the final forfeiture of $4.7 million, 830 million naira, and multiple properties allegedly linked to Emefiele. In a press statement issued by his legal team, led by Olawale Fakonda, Emefiele distanced himself and his immediate family from the assets. He clarified that some of the forfeited properties belong to his relatives, urging the public to stop linking him to the case in the interest of fairness. The implementation of local government autonomy in Nigeria remains stalled 7 months after the Supreme Court ordered direct funding to local councils. Now, despite the July 2024 ruling mandating the allocations bypass state governments, legal experts say both federal and state authorities are delaying compliance, undermining the judiciary's authority. The Supreme Court, led by Justice Emmanuel Ajim, declared that withholding local government funds is unconstitutional and barred states from appointing caretaker committees. However, the federal government's 3-month moratorium and ongoing pushback from state governors have slowed progress. Analysts warn that continued delays not only defy the Supreme Court, but also threaten democratic governance at the grassroots levels. And now we move to Osun State, where the People's Democratic Party, that's the PDP, has won all the chairmanship and councillorship seats in all the 30 local government areas in Osun State. Now, the chairman of the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission, Hashim Abioye, announced this at a press conference on Saturday. The commission defied warnings by the police and the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, to hold the poll. The state governor, Ademola Adeleke, who cast his vote in the Ede North local government area, described the exercise as peaceful. Earlier, the Electoral Commission boss accused the police of sealing the commission's headquarters in Osogbo, the state capital, and arresting some personnel. Abioye, however, said the commission moved to an undisclosed location to carry out its constitutional duty. To discuss this and issues around the implementation of the Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy and the fallout of the Osun State local government polls, we're joined by a public affairs analyst, Alester Wilcox. Thank you so much for joining us, Alester, on the news.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
Please, can you tell us the legal implications of the federal and state governments delaying the implementation of the Supreme Court's ruling on local government autonomy?
Well, there is no really legal implication at this point, except that we are looking at the validity of the Supreme Court's pronouncement, or how it's going to be implemented. Remember, a lot of pundits has opined that despite the Supreme Court's ruling, there are some constitutional lacuna that needs to be cleared, because the Constitution has made the provision for a joint state and local government account. for which all money accruing to the states and local government will be paid into, and from which the state governors are supposed to administer. But when this government thought it wise to go to the Supreme Court to get, in order to bypass that constitutional provision, there's no government an order to that effect that money should be paid directly. But of course, the legal implication is the administrative implication is the fact that how do you now bypass the Constitution and take the Supreme Court judgment? I think that, for me, I think that's what they are trying to sort out. And the government gave the states and the states about 30 days for implementation. I mean, 3 months for it to be implemented, but 7 months down the line, we're still seeing a push forward and a push back and all whatnot. So I think right now what is happening is more of politics. That's the federal government trying to see how they can pacify the state, because yes and true, the states will be offended by what is happening because it reduces their power in controlling local government. So
aside,
I don't know if anybody can bring any justifiable action against the federal government in this level, because any other action that needs to be brought has also go to the Supreme Court.
So speaking of controlling the local government, how does, this continued control of the local government funds by state governors, how will it affect grassroots development and also the democratic governance in Nigeria?
Well, there will not be any empirical study as to how it will affect, because for as far as I'm concerned, the local government has never been responsive to their duties. But people have opined that it's because the state government has muscled them, and so they are not able to carry out their duties. In some states, most of the activities done by local government have been subsumed by the state government, and I don't know how that came about. Most of the activities of the local government has, in most cases, been subsumed by the state government. So I don't know how even giving them funds directly will change anything. But people are of the opinion that everything begins and ends with resources. The local government has not been effective. More so for me, as far as I'm concerned, why it's not effective? Because even the Constitution did not make proper provision for persons to run local government. Local government is run by any person. You discover that councillors are those at the behest of whoever, either the governor or one political godfather. There is no, you find people, miscreants, and some persons that do not have even what it takes to be a messenger in a government office, becoming a councillor or sometimes a chairman of a local government. So we've left local government administration in the hands of all comers. So until we strengthen who can be local government chairman, who can be a councillor, until that constitutional position is reviewed and make it more, that is giving it the bite it deserves, not just leaving it at the whims and caprices of anybody. Any person can be a local government chairman. Anybody can be a councillor. I mean, people that cannot even stand and talk to you reading this news can become councillors because they are in the hands, because they are members of one cabal, one political tout or something. Just anyhow, it's just an all-comer thing. So even if you give them all the funds, you drop all the funds in their pocket, you give them all the autonomy and say they should pay. If the quality of persons that are running this show at local government is this what we have now, then I think there's a major problem, and we may not get anything different.
All right, now let's quickly take a look at the just concluded local government elections that happened in Osun State, in relation to the implementation of the Supreme Court's ruling on local government autonomy. What's your take on, on the development?
The Supreme Court, one of the provisions clearly ruled that local governments are not to be run by caretaker committees. The Supreme Court clearly outlawed governors dissolving local government structure. That was a very clear provision of the the Supreme Court. Those do not need any other political or any other administrative processes in order to implement. I think that if there's any good thing we should get out of that Supreme Court judgment, it is the fact that local local governments cannot be dissolved at the whims and caprices of anybody of the governor, because that's what governors do. Today a new government take office, the next day they dissolve all local governments and then appoint caretaker committees, or when their tenure expires, they will not conduct election. So that is a clear provision, and so the Osun State was in breach. The Osun State government was in breach of that provision, and it is clearly in breach. I know that because there was a court case going on between the sacked chairmen and councillors and the government, and there was a court judgment in their people, even up to the Court of Appeal. But unfortunately, the Osun State government this is what we do in Nigeria. We try to create more confusion than we create solvable problems, that will solve problems. You know, as I know, every governor wants to see how best he can hold on to the grassroots, but every day we keep destroying the constitution, the fabrics of our society. And for me, that is quite unfortunate. And so the elections conducted by Osun State yesterday, it's okay. But is there any legal implication? Yes, because there is still a legal dispute between the sacked local government chairman, because whose tenures have not expired. Now, the bottom line there is that the tenure of those ones that were sacked has not expired. As such, you cannot remove them and then conduct a new election. More so when when they have a case, when they have a victory in their favor in the Court of Appeal. You know, so if the Osun State government had an issue, they should have approached the Supreme Court for that case to be expediently answered. And if they lost, then the government will go ahead and conduct it. You don't conduct an election on the right, when the people that occupy the position, their tenure has not expired. I think that is it's just common sense. And every day in this country, we are creating more problems, destroying our constitution, creating more problems in order. I don't know I don't know at the end of the day what the game plan is for us to get out of all these problems we are creating every day. So the Osun State government has created more problems. I do not know how those newly elected chairmen and councillors will function, because I know that those ones that were sacked have taken, some of them have taken, there has been too much violence in Osun State. They've taken control of the councils, and there is a lot of bloodshed going on. So the governor will have saved himself and the people of Osun State this malady, this problem, by waiting until when the cases are being disposed of. You don't put something on nothing. Okay. Look at the election was so empty, so scanty. Look at, I'm seeing where the governor voted. This is a hole where the governor is voting, and is that how a election is conducted? I think we just deceive ourselves so much in this country, and every day we are creating more problems instead of solving, so that we shall be seen as part of responsible citizens of a responsible world. But no, every day we create more problems just to be politically correct and for our own political advantage. I don't think we have been fair to humanity.
Lester, well, thank you so much for your take on this. We appreciate you for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's always my pleasure. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Now, in the meantime, the South-South zone of the People's Democratic Party has re-elected Dan Obi as its zonal chairman in an election held in Calabar, Cross River State. Electoral Committee Chairman Vita Abba has announced that Obi secured 174 votes to win the election. Other officials selected include Alaba Turner as secretary, Evelyn Weke, treasurer, and Ijoma Obani as financial secretary. Obi has pledged to end impunity and imposition in the party while working on rebranding efforts. The National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has distanced itself from a Congress held by the party's South-South zonal executives in Calabar, Cross River State. Now, the event, attended by Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike, saw him describe the South-South as the PDP's strongest hold. In a statement released on Saturday, PDP National Publicity Secretary Debo Ologunaba clarified that the Congress was not an official party event. He explained that the Congress had been postponed to allow for broader consultations as the party's constitution grants the NWC authority over such decisions. However, Wike disagreed, asserting that no Congress or convention had ever required every delegate's participation. The second edition of the ministerial briefing has started in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Now, the series is a platform where key federal government officials are expected to provide regular updates on projects that they have implemented so far. The session kicked off with the Ministers of Livestock Development, Alhaji Idi Mukhtar, and Regional Development, Abubakar Momo. The Tinubu administration hopes to demonstrate its commitment to open communication and good governance through the series, which will be open to the public. Now, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has pledged his commitment to making Abuja safe for members of the diplomatic community. The minister made this known while receiving the ambassadors of Egypt and Morocco, saying that the FCT administration will do all it can to create a conducive environment for them to fulfill their diplomatic responsibilities. Amadin Uyi reports.
The ambassador of Egypt first arrived with his team. He commended the FCT minister for the ongoing infrastructural works within the capital and called for an improvement in bilateral relations aimed at expanding the economy of the FCT. The minister commended the long-standing relations between Nigeria and Egypt, saying that the FCT administration is available to improve on the already existing relationship.
I really look forward to working closely with Your Excellency and other senior officials trying to push these bilateral relations, especially when it comes to economy, expanding infrastructure in both Egypt and Nigeria, because there is great potential that remains untapped. As the biggest two countries on the continent, I think we share the responsibility of enhancing our bilateral relations to take the continent further.
Nigeria has a good relationship with Egypt dating back years. And we have a lot of their companies that are also doing well, particularly the Arab contractors. They are one of our key infrastructure. And carrying out one of the very, very important roads, Airport Kuje Road, which is very key for us. So we're happy to receive you. And we'll continue to see that whatever we can do for you, do not hesitate to let us know. It will be our pleasure to have good relationship with you.
Also, the ambassador of Morocco visited shortly after, expressing his willingness to develop relations with the FCT administration. The minister, in reply, pledged to support the diplomatic community resident in Abuja. He acknowledged the improvement in security, saying the FCT will ensure that the capital is safe for all visitors and residents alike.
We want, of course, to develop this relationship not only at the level of the federal government, but also with the state of the territory. Hope to have partnership between Rabat, the capital of Morocco, and Abuja as the capital of Nigeria, this big country.
We would like to explore opportunities on how these two cities can cooperate. It's very key. So our is to make sure that all the diplomats carry out their business ease without any hindrance. Of course, you can agree with me that the security has so much improved. You can see the infrastructure development going on in the city. So we're happy to do anything that will make your stay in Abuja comfortable.
The minister commended both ambassadors for their willingness to support the ongoing development visible in the capital. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
The First Lady of Nigeria has launched the North Central Zone Women's Empowerment Program aimed at equipping 500 women in the Federal Capital Territory and 18,500 women across the zone. Now, the First Lady says that the program, which aligns the federal government's renewed hope agenda, will drive women's inclusivity, economic growth, and sustainable development, especially at the grassroots. She also adds that it will help Nigeria achieve its sustainable development goals objectives.
Recognizing the critical role women play in nation building, this program aligns with the renewed hope agenda of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, which prioritizes inclusivity, economic growth, and sustainable development for all Nigerians, particularly women's economic empowerment. Similarly, women's economic empowerment is central to achieving all the SDG, especially SDG 5, on achieving gender equality and empower all women and girls, and SDG 8 on decent work and economic growth, which are both relevant to what we are doing here today.
These empowerment items represent more than just physical tools that we are seeing them. They symbolize hope, strength, and brighter future for our women. We believe that each woman receiving this item today will use them to transform herself and the lives of people that are around her.
In the coming weeks and months and years, you see us going to the grassroots to lift women up, because that is what Mr. President wants. I remembered speaking to Her Excellency, and what she told me is that, Iman, leave these technical things. Go and put money in the hands of women. Because when women are empowered, the family units are empowered. When women are empowered, the children thrive. So as we intervene for children and strengthen the institutions, we must also ensure that the family units are stable. And that's why we're empowering women.
Away from that, Kogi Central Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has alleged that the Senate leadership is planning to suspend her for following a heated altercation with Senate President Godswill Akpabio over seating arrangements in the chamber on Thursday. Akpoti-Uduaghan, a member of the opposition parties, that's Opposition People's Democratic Party, made the allegation in Abuja. Despite the alleged planned suspension, the senator promised to continue serving her constituents. She said any suspension will not stop her commitment to the public service. The alleged planned suspension is coming after she had a verbal clash with the Senate president in protest against the change of her seat in the chamber. The Department of State Services has arrested 3 workers of the Lagos State House of Assembly for allegedly attacking its personnel on February 18. The incident occurred after a confrontation at the Assembly on Monday, which saw DSS officers manhandled, and this followed an official letter dated February 14, 2025, signed by the acting clerk, ATB Otun, inviting the DSS to enhance security at the facility. According to the letter, the DSS was instructed to ensure strict access control from February 15 onward. A source in the DSS revealed that after reviewing CCTV footage, 3 individuals responsible for the assault were identified and arrested. They're expected to face charges in court soon. A group of non-indigents in Koshofe local government area of Lagos State has called on Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to fulfill his promise to them. Now, the group, which claimed to have worked tirelessly for the governor's re-election, said they wrote a letter to him stating their demands but are yet to receive a response. At a press conference held in Lagos, the group expressed hope that their demands would be addressed once the letter gets to the governor. The group also commended the governor for the various initiatives that he has introduced, which have brought development to the state.
31st May 2024, non-indigent wrote a letter to him through the Chief of Staff, Governor's Office, Lagos State, on some of the needs and challenges of non-indigent. And after that, non-indigent has wrote 3 different reminder letters on different days on follow-up to the letter we wrote. But up to now, we have not gotten a response to that letter. And we believe that His Excellency, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, may have not seen that letter.
Moving on, a viral post reignited the conversation about the state of pedestrian bridges in Lagos. The Oshodi pedestrian bridge, recently shut down due to safety concerns, has drawn public attention to the maintenance of these structures across the city. Now, while pedestrian bridges are meant to ensure safety, many Lagosians still choose to cross major highways instead. Is it a matter of convenience, or are these bridges simply not in the best conditions? News Central's Chidinma Ona takes a closer look. We'll bring the story to you much later. Now, away from that, 14 people were killed on Saturday when a passenger bus collided with a petrol tanker in central Nigeria's Niger State. According to Kumar Tsukwan, head of a federal road safety corps in the state, the crash occurred when the bus attempted to overtake another vehicle outside Kusobogi village, 80 kilometers from the state capital, Minna. Tsukwan attributed the accident to speeding and wrongful overtaking by the bus driver. The bus was traveling from Lagos to Kaduna when the collision occurred. Now, road accidents remain a major issue in Nigeria, where poor road conditions, speeding, and traffic rule violations contribute to frequent fatalities. Last week, 23 people died in a similar incident in Kano, and in 2024, there were 9,570 road accidents, resulting in 5,421 deaths, according to FRSC data. In a bid to boost socio-economic activities in the Niger Delta, the Niger Delta Development Commission has commenced the reconstruction of the Abraka Obe Road Phase 1 and the rehabilitation of failed sections of the Abraka Agbar Road in Delta and Edo states. The 9.6-kilometer stretch, previously impassable, had become a hotspot for kidnappings and armed robberies, posing a serious threat to commuters and businesses. With an 8-meter-wide asphalt carriageway, the project aims to restore safe passage and enhance economic connectivity between industrial and agricultural communities across Ethiop East and Oriom 1 local government areas.
Intervening in this project to also reduce the sufferings of our people. While we are also intervening in projects in the communities, let us also intervene in those projects that also reduce the cost of living in those communities, because they are all complementary. In all we do is to complement the effort of the Ministry of Works, also to complement the effort of the state government. We know the state governors are also doing their bit. Most of them are doing very well. All what we do, we are not in competition with the state governments, we are only complementing whatever the state governments are doing, because we play a complementary role as an interventionist agency. So we are looking forward towards partnering with state governments to embark on big projects that will impact on the lives of the people of the Niger Delta. And that is what the Renewed Hope agenda is all about.
Honestly, I am extremely grateful and thankful to God that I'm here to witness such a huge milestone for our people and for the people of Delta State. And I want to thank you, Chairman, MD, for giving our people life. Because with good roads and good infrastructure comes life and light. So I thank you. And I know my people are grateful. I mean, not they're grateful. I know they're grateful. We are grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything you do for the people of the Niger Delta. Thank you for the things you do for everyone in this region. And I know, as a matter of fact, that since you came on board, the narrative is completely. And I want to congratulate you for that. Because it's not just by saying it, it's by doing it by action.
Let me recall that sometime last year, when I started tour of the Niger Delta region, this is one of the roads that we visited. And we visited this road through the bypass in Benin. And incidentally, the managing director of NDDC and some of his executive directors happened to be with us on that very day. And then I made it clear to him that this road had been under the supervision of the Ministry of Niger Delta, and to some extent, the RCC had done some work, and we need to through the road to Abraka. I also charged it on him that he should do his best. By the time I returned, I briefed Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, on my findings in Niger Delta, and this is one of the roads that I measured to him. And I know his reply. The president said, well, if you don't have money in your ministry, you have NDDC to intervene. And I quickly called on the MD, and I told him that that very road must be given immediate attention. Not necessarily because it's a road connecting Edo and Delta, which of course, you know I'm from Delta, but for the simple reason that at that point in time, it was pretty difficult to pass through Benin, through Sapele, to Warri, and we felt that by the time the Abraka Obe to Benin bypass was made through, it will ease the transport problem in this very area. So I'm glad today that section 1 of the road has been completed, which is from here to Obe.
Chief Government Owezide Ekpemukpolo, popularly known as Tompolo, and chairman of Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited, has been named the Security Personnel of the Year by Daily Telegraph Publishing Company Limited, publishers of New Telegraph, Saturday Telegraph, and Sunday Telegraph newspapers. Tompolo says the award held in Lagos will inspire him to further contribute to the oil and gas development and nation building in general. Receiving the award on his behalf by Mr. Paul Benebimimo, Tompolo expressed gratitude to the board management and also the staff of New Telegraph for recognizing his contributions in enhancing the security of critical oil and gas pipelines in the Niger Delta.
I want to thank God Almighty, who actually gave Tompolo the enablement to do what he's doing for the country. And also thank the New Telegraph for recognizing him as the Private Security Personnel of the Year. Truly, he's happy, he's elated for the fact that since he received this mandate to secure Nigerian oil and gas infrastructures, which is the life wire for the country. He's happy that it's paying off. Back then, 2022, when this mandate was given to him, the production was around 800, 900, and so on barrels per day. But today, Nigeria has hit the 2 million barrels per day mark, which is very significant. Looking at the budget for the year, you can see that Nigeria will certainly meet its obligations in terms of providing infrastructure for the citizens.
Now let's take a look at this package of a viral post that has reignited the conversation about the state of pedestrian bridges in Lagos.
Oshodi Bridge, that bridge where they go cross, come the other side. Like say they go look at you. And the bridge they shake. I see last my everybody, I think my body they shake. I can't see other people they complain and say the bridge they shake.
It all started with a post. A Nigerian shared concerns about the faulty state of the Oshodi pedestrian bridge, questioning why it had been left in such a dangerous condition. Shortly after, the Lagos state government ordered the immediate closure of the pedestrian bridge connecting Oshodi bus terminals 2 and 3, citing safety concerns. But for many, this raises a bigger question. How well are Lagos pedestrian bridges being maintained? Would people choose the safer option of using the bridge, or is crossing the road for convenience and speed more appealing?
Nobody should prefer crossing the road so far there's a pedestrian bridge. That's the essence of the pedestrian bridge. But I think the other day when the bridge got spoiled, there was a room created for us to cross the road. Okay, but since it's been reconstructed, so no one should be happy crossing the road where there's pedestrian bridge.
I feel more safer using the bridge. Even during the time they had an accident about the bridge, or more, I was even scared during that period.
Crossing the road would be more convenient because I'm still young and all that. But then, safer, yes, it's the pedestrian bridge because, and also, I feel like for me, personally, it's a physical exercise that can help my own personal physical goals.
I'm climbing the bridge every day. The bridge is standing and it's okay. People used to work on it. They are working on it every day. Nobody is complaining.
Some say using pedestrian bridges is a safer option, while others argue that the bridges are poorly maintained, difficult to access, or even unsafe at night.
What I would just want the government to do for us about the security. Sometimes the reason why people don't want to use pedestrian bridge is because of during the night, those area boys, they hang on it and they try to harass people. Like, there is a time that I'm using the one at Mowe. If you say that the one at Mowe, people don't use it because of the area boys. They hang there, they sleep on it. If our government can work on it, it's for pedestrians not to sleep, not to rest. It's just to walk.
Well, maintenance, they can do better. Though, in recent times, we've seen new bridges come up, but then I think in maintenance aspects, they can do better. It's not properly maintained for most parts of Lagos.
Lagosians are calling for urgent repairs and better maintenance, citing issues like broken steps, poor lighting and security risks. But what does it take to maintain these structures? We spoke to an engineer to find out.
Over time, a bridge naturally should have some special attention because, it's only sustainable to corrosion, whereas tears due to environmental degradation and all that. And components such as the railing, the deckings, they get wear out, over time. So naturally, maintenance should be upscale when it comes to the issue of bridge because it's actually of safety consequences. There is need for design enhancement. The government or our engineers, you need to incorporate, user-friendly features, in our bridges, right? Such as shaded areas, sitting benches. There's nothing that precludes people from, wanting to, have a waiting for somebody and staying on the bridge, benches and all that are comfortable, that will allow people to, be able to use, the area. Secondly, location optimization. And what I mean by that, if we're going to be locating our bridges, we must make sure that our bridges are located close to high traffic zones and high traffic areas, right? And they are located to, having studied the traffic of the human traffic within the area, making sure that the bridges are properly located.
Now, as Lagos continues to grow, the debate over safety and convenience remains a pressing concern, whether it's on the maintenance of these bridges or the choices of road users. Well, the balance between safety and ease will determine how Lagosians will navigate their city. In Lagos, reporting for News Central, I am Chidinma Ona.
Away from Nigeria and in the east of the continent, Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces and a coalition of political and armed groups have signed a founding charter to establish a parallel government in the war-torn country. Now, the signatories stated that the charter lays the groundwork for a government of peace and unity in areas controlled by rebels. This move comes nearly 2 years into the devastating war with Sudan's regular army, which has displaced more than 12 million people and triggered what the United Nations deemed the world's worst hunger and displacement crises. The long-awaited sign-in, which had been delayed several times, took place behind closed doors in Nairobi, Kenya. Notably, absent was RSF Commander Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, though his brother Abdul Rahim Daglo signed on behalf of the group. Hundreds of Bukavians gathered for a meeting organized by social and political figures from South Kivu to express their support for the newly established AFC M23 authorities. Now, this comes as M23 fighters continue to advance on multiple fronts in the volatile eastern region of the Democratic Republic of Congo. On Friday, the UN Security Council for the first time urged Rwanda to stop backing the M23 group and to help end the bloodshed. The M23, reportedly supported by 4,000 Rwandan soldiers, now control large parts of eastern DR Congo, a region rich in natural resources. Their rapid progress has displaced thousands, with the fighters taking control of Bukavu, South Kivu's provincial capital, just days after capturing Goma, the capital of North Kivu.
Bon, vous savez, nous n'avons pas le choix. Nous n'avons pas le choix, la population de Bukavu. Nous attendons surtout à de l'amélioration des vies. Donc, peu importe ce qui peut arriver, mais l'amélioration des vies seulement. Les boulots et tout comme ça. Qu'on donne les boulots, nous les jeunes, qu'on améliore la vie de tout un chacun étant congolais. Un peu ça.
On attaque, on voit des changements qui est contraire à ce qu'on a vu, on a vécu bien avant. Parce qu'on avait beaucoup de problèmes. On a fait beaucoup de problèmes. Parce que nous, comme les jeunes, on n'avait pas des emplois. Mais par ces dirigeants actuels, on espère qu'on va les approcher et ils vont nous écouter.
On a espéré changement ikuwe kukila kitu. Chez bajene tunapata madiplome, tuko ba licencié na hatuna kazi. Hasa kwa ile tunaespere na shewa tukumbuke kwanza shewe tulisomaka kwanza. Tukwata na makazi kwanza na shewe tujikutane na shewe tunaanza kwa nasaidia mafamilia zetu. Parce que tuko ba responsable. Ona kutana.
Away from Africa, Russian President Vladimir Putin has declared that Russian soldiers in Ukraine are defending the country's national interests and vowed to maintain unchanged determination in strengthening Russia's armed forces amidst a rapidly changing world. His remarks come ahead of the third anniversary of Russia's offensive in Ukraine, which has resulted in Europe's deadliest conflict since World War II. Putin pledged to continue enhancing the combat capabilities of Russia's army and navy, emphasizing their readiness as a crucial element of the nation's security and sovereignty. Meanwhile, Russia has pursued closer ties with the United States under former President Donald Trump. Now, Putin recently held a lengthy phone conversation with Trump and expressed Russia's desire to resume dialogue with Washington on all parameters, with the first Russian-American talks taking place in Saudi Arabia since then. In the world of sports, Nigeria has officially qualified for the 2025 AfroBasket, joining Cape Verde, Libya and Uganda from Group B. According to FIBA, all teams in the group are guaranteed a spot, with the fourth-place team securing qualification as the best fourth-ranked side across all groups. Now, D Tigers sealed their place with an 87-67 victory over Uganda in Tripoli, following a hard-fought 75-70 win against hosts Libya. Despite trailing at halftime against Uganda, Nigeria rallied to claim their second consecutive win in the final qualification window. With their ticket secured, Nigeria's upcoming game against Cape Verde will be a dead rubber game. The focus now shifts to preparations for the tournament, where they aim to reclaim continental dominance. Still talking sports, Nigeria's Flying Eagles will play 2 friendly matches against Cote d'Ivoire next week in preparation for the 2025 Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations. Now, the games will take place in Abidjan, with the first fixture scheduled for February 26th and the second on the 28th of February. Initially, the Flying Eagles were set to face Egypt in a similar doubleheader, but the fixture was cancelled after both teams were drawn in the same AFCON group. Our head coach, Ali Zubairu's squad, will depart Abuja for Abidjan on the 24th of February. Cote d'Ivoire is set to host the Under-20 AFCON from the 26th of April to 18th of May, with the tournament's semi-finalists earning qualification for the 2025 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile. That's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. You heard that 155 foreigners arrested for cybercrimes, unauthorized entry. You also heard that 14 killed in bus tanker crash in Niger State. We also told you that Sudan's RSF rebel groups have formed parallel government. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.